Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. We're taking a journey, step by step, day by day, verse by verse, chapter by chapter, canto by canto, through the history of the universe, back to the lotus feet of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the mercy of all of his pure devotees. We have Dare and Vinod, two daring personalities who have come to this adventure. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
They met the devotees at U of H, I think.
Spring Festival at Discovery Green.
Spring Festival at
Yes.
Discovery Green. Nice. And U of H, he's got his shirt, U of H shirt on.
University of Houston.
Yes. Hare Krishna. Okay, without further ado, let's hear the very beautiful prayer that was compiled by Sanatana Goswami to glorify the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which we're reading today. Srimad-Bhagavata Mahima Stotram, the glories of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwan Dodidaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshadayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who is supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Shri Krishna himself. Marika Bando Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Man Nistadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu Sadhutadayin Atini Chochatakara Hanamuncha Gadachin Mam Premnarit Kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So here we are in the 6th canto, 4th chapter of the Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled the Hamsa-guhya Prayers. These are prayers offered by Daksha, one of the first Prajapatis in the universe, responsible for generating population at the beginning of the universe. And he's praying for the Lord's mercy and glorifying the Supreme Lord. Beginning with text 9. By nature's arrangement, fruits and flowers are considered the food of insects and birds. Grass and other legless living entities are meant to be the food of four-legged animals, like cows and buffalo. Animals that cannot use their front legs as hands are meant to be the food of animals like tigers, which have claws, and four-legged animals like deer and goats, as well as food grains, are meant to be the food of human beings. Purport. By nature's law, or the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one kind of living entity is eatable by other living entities. As mentioned herein, Dvipadam cha Chatushpada, the four-legged animals, Chatushpada, as well as food grains, are eatables for human beings, Dvipadam. These four-legged animals are those such as deer and goats, not cows, which are meant to be protected. Generally, the men of the higher classes of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, do not eat meat. Sometimes Kshatriyas go to the forest to kill animals like deer because they have to learn the art of killing, and sometimes they eat the animals also. Shudras, too, eat animals such as goats. Cows, however, are never meant to be killed or eaten by human beings. In every Shastra, cow killing is vehemently condemned. Indeed, one who kills a cow must suffer for as many thousands of years as there are hairs on the body of a cow. Calculate that. Manu Samhita says, Pravritir Esha Bhutanam Nivritish tu Mahapala. We have many tendencies in this material world, but in human life, one is meant to learn how to curb those tendencies. Those who desire to eat meat must satisfy the demigods of their tongues by eating lower animals, but they should never kill cows, who are actually accepted as the mothers of human society because they supply milk. The Shastra especially recommends Krishigo Raksha. The Vaishya section of humanity should arrange for the food for the entire society through agricultural activities and should give full protection to the cows, which are the most useful animals because they supply milk to human society. Text 10. O pure-hearted one, O pure-hearted ones, your Father, Prachinabarhi, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead have ordered you to generate population. Therefore, how can you burn to ashes these trees and herbs which are needed for the maintenance of your subjects and descendants? The path of goodness traversed by your father, grandfather, and great-grandfathers is that of maintaining the subjects, prajas, including the men, animals, and trees. That is the path you should follow. Unnecessary anger is contrary to your nature. Therefore, I request you to control your anger. Purport. Here the words Pitra, Pitamahe Pitra, Pitame, Hinapi, Jushtam Va, Pratipat Mahi depict an honest royal family consisting of the kings, their father, their grandfather, and their great-grandfathers. Such a royal family has a prestigious position because it maintains the citizens, or prajas. The word praja refers to one who has taken birth within the jurisdiction of the government. The exalted royal families were conscious that all living beings, whether human, animal, or lower than animal, should be given protection. The modern democratic system cannot be exalted in this way because the leaders elected strive only for power and have no sense of responsibility. In a monarchy, a king with a prestigious position follows the great deeds of his forefathers. Thus Soma, the king of the moon, here reminds the Prachetas about the glories of their father, grandfather, and great-grandfathers. Text 12. As the father and mother are the friends and maintainers of their children, as the eyelid is the protector of the eye, as the husband is the maintainer and protector of a woman, as the householder is the maintainer and protector of beggars, and as the learned is the friend of the ignorant, so the king is the protector and giver of life to all his subjects. The trees are also subjects of the king, therefore they should be given protection. Purport. By the supreme will of the personality of Godhead, there are various protectors and maintainers for helpless living entities. The trees are also considered prajas, subjects of the king, and therefore the duty of the monarch is to protect even the trees, not to speak of others. The king is duty-bound to protect the living entities in his kingdom. Thus, although the parents are directly responsible for the protection and maintenance of their children, the duty of the king is to see that all parents do their duty properly. Similarly, the king is also responsible for overseeing the other protectors mentioned in this verse. It may also be noted that the beggars who should be maintained by the householders are not professional beggars, but sannyasis and brahmanas to whom the householders should supply food and clothing. Text 13. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated as the Supersoul within the cores of the hearts of all living entities, whether moving or non-moving, including men, birds, animals, trees, and indeed all living entities. Therefore, you should consider every body a residence or temple of the Lord. By such vision, you will satisfy the Lord. You should not angrily kill all these living entities in the forms of trees. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita and confirmed by all the Vedic scriptures, Ishvarak Sarvabhutanam Riddhisher Junatishtati. The Supersoul is situated within everyone's heart. Therefore, since everyone's body is the residence of the Supreme Lord, one should not destroy the body because of unnecessary envy. That will dissatisfy the Supersoul. Soma told the Prachetas that because they had tried to satisfy the Supersoul, now they should not displease him. Text 14. One who inquires into self-realization and thus subdues his powerful anger, which awakens suddenly in the body as if falling from the sky, transcends the influence of the modes of material nature. Purport. When one becomes angry, he forgets himself and his situation. But if one is able to consider his situation by knowledge, one transcends the influence of the modes of material nature. One is always a servant of lusty desires, anger, greed, illusion, envy, and so forth. But if one obtains sufficient strength in spiritual advancement, one can control them. One who obtains such control will always be transcendentally situated, untouched by the modes of material nature. This is only possible when one fully engages in the service of the Lord. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 14:26, Mam chayo vyabhicharina bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samati jaitan brahmabhuya yakalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the spiritual platform. By engaging one in devotional service, the Krishna consciousness movement keeps one always transcendental to anger, greed, lust, envy, and so forth. One must perform devotional service because otherwise one will become victimized by the modes of material nature. Text 15. There is no need to burn these poor trees any longer. Let whatever trees still remain be happy. Indeed, you should also be happy. Now here is a beautiful, well-qualified girl named Marisha, who was raised by the trees as their daughter. You may accept this beautiful girl as your wife. Text 16. Shukadeva Goswami continued, My dear king, after thus pacifying the Prachetas, Soma, the king of the moon, gave them the beautiful girl born of Pramlocha Apsara. The Prachetas all received Pramlocha's daughter, who had high, very beautiful hips, and married her, according to the religious system. Text 17. In the womb of that girl, the Prachetas all begot a son named Daksha, who filled the three worlds with living entities. Daksha was first born during the reign of Swayambhuva Manu, but because of offending Lord Shiva, he was punished by having the head of a goat substituted for his own head. Thus insulted, he had to give up that body, and in the 6th Manvantara, called the Chakshusha Manvantara, he was born in the womb of Marisha as Daksha. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur quotes this verse: Chakshushe twantare prapte prak sarge kala vidrute yak sisarja praja ishta sadaksho daivachoti taha. His previous body had been destroyed, but he, the same Daksha, inspired by the Supreme Will, created all the desired living entities in the Chakshusha Manvantara. Bhagavatam 4:30-49. Thus Daksha regained his previous opulence and again begot thousands and millions of children to fill the three worlds. Hari Bol, Bhakti John. Text 18. Shukadev Goswami continued. Shukadev Goswami continued. Please hear from me with great attention how Prajapati Daksha, who was very affectionate to his daughters, created different types of living entities through his semen and through his mind. Purport. The word Duritri Vatsala indicates that all the prajas were born from Daksha's daughters. Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur says that apparently Daksha had no son. Text 19. With his mind, Prajapati Daksha first created all kinds of demigods, demons, human beings, birds, beasts, aquatics, and so on. Text 20. But when Prajapati Daksha saw that he was not properly generating all kinds of living entities, he approached a mountain near the Vindhya mountain range, and there he executed very difficult austerities. Text 21. Near that mountain was a very holy place named Agamarshana. There Prajapati Daksha executed ritualistic ceremonies and satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, by engaging in great austerities to please him. Text 22. My dear King, I shall fully explain to you the Hamsa-guhya Prayers, which were offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Daksha, and I shall explain how the Lord was pleased with him for those prayers. Purport. It is to be understood that the Hamsa-guhya Prayers were not composed by Daksha, but were existing in the Vedic literature. Text 23. Prajapati Daksha said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is transcendental to the illusory energy and the physical categories it produces. He possesses the potency for unfailing knowledge and supreme willpower, and he is the controller of the living entities and the illusory energy. The conditioned souls who have accepted this material manifestation as everything cannot see him, for he is above the evidence of experimental knowledge. Self-evident and self-sufficient, he is not caused by any superior cause. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. The transcendental position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is explained herewith. He is not perceivable by the conditioned souls who are accustomed to material vision and cannot understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists in his abode, which is beyond that vision. Even if a materialistic person could count all the atoms in the universe, he would still be unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As confirmed in Brahma Samhita 534, Pantastu koti shatavat sadasam pragamyo Bayor atapi manaso muni pungavanam so pyastiyat prapadasing yabichin tatve govinda maripurusham tamaham bhajami. The conditioned souls may try to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead for many billions of years through their mental speculative processes, traveling at the speed of the mind or of the wind, but still the absolute truth will remain inconceivable to them because a materialistic person cannot measure the length and breadth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's unlimited existence. If the absolute truth is beyond measurement, one may ask, how can one realize him? The answer is given here by the word Swayam Bhuve. One may understand him or not, but nevertheless he is existing in his own spiritual potency. Text 24. As the sense objects, form, taste, touch, smell, and sound, cannot understand how the senses perceive them, so the conditioned soul, although residing in his body, along with the super soul, cannot understand how the Supreme Spiritual Person, the master of the material creation, directs his senses. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Person who is the Supreme Controller. Purport. The individual soul and the super soul live together within the body. This is confirmed in the Upanishads by the analogy of two friendly birds live in one tree, one bird eating the fruit of the tree, and the other simply witnessing and directing. Although the individual living being, who is compared to the bird that is eating, is sitting with his friend, the Supreme Soul, the individual living being cannot see him. Actually, the Super Soul is directing the workings of one's senses in the enjoyment of sense objects. But as these sense objects cannot see the senses, the conditioned soul cannot see the directing soul. The conditioned soul has desires, and the Supreme Soul fulfills them, but the conditioned soul is unable to see the Supreme Soul. Thus, Prajapati Daksha offers his obeisances to the Supreme Soul, the Super Soul, even though unable to see him. Another example given is that although ordinary citizens work under the direction of the government, they cannot understand how they are being governed or what the government is. In this regard, Madhvacharya quotes the following verse from the Skanda Purana: Yata ragya priyatvam tu mritya vedina chatmanaha tatat jivo niyat samkhyam veditasmai namostute. As the various servants in the different departments of big establishments cannot see the Supreme Managing Director under whom they are working, the conditioned souls cannot see the Supreme Friend sitting within their bodies. Let us therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, who is invisible to our material eyes. Text 25. Because they are only matter, the body, the life airs, the external and internal senses, the five gross elements, and the subtle sense objects, form, taste, smell, sound, and touch, cannot know their own nature, the nature of the other senses, or the nature of their controllers. But the living being, because of his spiritual nature, can know his body, the life airs, the senses, the elements, and the sense objects. And he can also know the three qualities that form their roots. Nevertheless, although the living being is completely aware of them, he is unable to see the Supreme Being. who is omniscient and unlimited. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. Modern scientists can make an analytical study of the physical elements, the body, the senses, the sense objects, and even the air that controls the vital force. But still, they cannot understand that above all these is the real spirit soul. In other words, the living entity, because of his being a spirit soul, can understand all the material objects, or, when self-realized, he can understand the Paramatma, upon whom yogis meditate. Nevertheless, the living being, even if advanced, cannot understand the Supreme Being, the personality of Godhead, for he is ananta, unlimited, in all six opulences. Text 26. When one's consciousness is completely purified of the contamination of material existence, gross and subtle, without being agitated as in the working and dreaming states, and when the mind is not dissolved as in sushupti, deep sleep, one comes to the platform of trance. Then one's material vision and the memories of the mind, which manifests names and forms, are vanquished. Only in such a trance is the Supreme Personality of Godhead revealed. Thus, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seen in that uncontaminated transcendental state. Purport. There are two stages of God realization. One is called sugyayam, or very easily understood, generally by mental speculation, and the other is called durgyayam, understood only with difficulty. Paramatma realization and Brahman realization are considered sugyayam, but realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is durgyayam. As described here, one attains the ultimate realization of the personality of Godhead when one gives up the activities of the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing, or in other words, when mental speculation stops. This transcendental realization is above sushupti, deep sleep. In our gross conditional stage, we perceive things through material experience and remembrance. And in the subtle stage, we perceive the world in dreams. The process of vision also involves remembrance and also exists in subtle form. Above gross experience and dreams is sushupti, deep sleep, and when one comes to the completely spiritual platform, transcending deep sleep, he attains trance, Vishuddha Sattva, or Vasudeva Sattva, in which the personality of Godhead is revealed. Atak Shri Krishna Nabadi, Nabhaved Grayam Indriyahi. As long as one is situated in duality, on the sensual platform, gross or subtle, realization of the original personality of Godhead is impossible. Sevan mukhe hi jivado swayam eva spudatyadaha. But when one engages his senses in the service of the Lord, specifically when one engages the tongue in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and tasting only Krishna Prasad with a spirit of service, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is revealed. This is indicated in the verse by the word Shuchi Sadmane. Shuchi means purified. By the spirit of rendering service with one's senses, one's entire existence becomes Shuchi Sadma, the platform of uncontaminated purity. Daksha therefore offers his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is revealed on the platform of Shuchi Sadma. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes the following prayer by Lord Brahma from the Srimad-Bhagavatam 10.14.6. Tetapi bhuman gunasya te vibodhum artit amalantar atmabi. One whose heart has become completely purified, my Lord, can understand the transcendental qualities of your Lordship and can understand the greatness of your activities. Text 27 and 28. Just as great learned brahmanas who were expert in performing ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices can extract the fire dormant within wooden fuel by chanting the 15 Samidhani mantras, thus proving the efficacy of the Vedic mantras, so those who are actually advanced in consciousness, in other words, those who are Krishna conscious, can find the Supersoul, who by his own spiritual potency is situated within the heart. The heart is covered by the 3 modes of material nature and the 9 material elements: material nature, the total material energy, the ego, the mind, and the 5 objects of sense gratification. And also by the 5 material elements and the 10 senses. These 27 elements constitute the external energy of the Lord. Great yogis meditate upon the Lord, who is situated as the Supersoul, Paramatma, within the core of the heart. May that Supersoul be pleased with me. The Supersoul is realized when one is eager for liberation from the unlimited varieties of material life. One actually attains such liberation when he engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord and realizes the Lord because of his service attitude. The Lord may be addressed by various spiritual names, which are inconceivable to the material senses. When will that Supreme Personality of Godhead be pleased with me? What a prayer. Eh? Purport. In his commentary to this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur uses the word durvigayam, which means very difficult to realize. The pure stage of existence is described in Bhagavad Gita 7:28, wherein Krishna says, Yesham twantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandvo mohamir mukta bhajante mam dridavrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my service with determination. Elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita 9:41, the Lord says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead after transcending all material impediments. Therefore, Lord Krishna also says in the Gita 7:3, Manushanam sahasreshu kaschit yatiti siddhaye yatatam apisiddhanam kaschin mam veti tatpataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. To understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one must undergo severe penances and austerities. But since the path of devotional service is perfect, by following this process, one can very easily come to the spiritual platform and understand the Lord. This too is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, wherein Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatpataha tato mam tatpato yatva vishate tadanantaram. One can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. Thus, although the subject matter is durbigayam, extremely difficult to understand, it becomes easy if one follows the prescribed method. Coming in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is possible through pure devotional service, which begins with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes a verse from Srimad-Bhagavatam 2.8.5. Prabhishta karnarandrena swanam bhava saroruham. The process of hearing and chanting enters the core of the heart, and in this way one becomes a pure devotee. By continuing this process, one comes to the stage of transcendental love, and then he appreciates the transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, a pure devotee, by devotional service, is able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead despite many material impediments, which are all various energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Easily making his way through these impediments, a devotee comes directly in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After all, the material impediments described in these verses are but various energies of the Lord. When a devotee is eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he prays to the Lord. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishame bhavam buddhao kripaya tavapada pankaja stitaduli sadrisham vachintaya. O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Being pleased with the Lord, with the devotee, the Lord turns all his material impediments into spiritual service. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur quotes a verse from the Vishnu Purana. Ladini sandini samvit tvayika sarvasangstitao lada tapa kadi mishra twayi no gunavarjite. In the material world, the spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is manifested as tapakari, which means causing miseries. Everyone hankers for happiness, but although happiness originally comes from the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the material world, because of material activities, the pleasure potency of the Lord becomes a source of miseries. Lada tapa kari. False happiness in the material world is the source of distress. But when one's endeavors for happiness are redirected toward the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the tapakari element of misery is vanquished. An example given in this connection is that extracting fire from wood is certainly difficult, but when the fire comes out, it burns the wood to ashes. In other words, experiencing the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely difficult for those devoid of devotional service, but everything becomes easier for a devotee, and thus he can very easily meet the Supreme Lord. Here the prayers say that the form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of material form, and is therefore inconceivable. A devotee prays, however, "My dear Lord, be pleased with me, so that I may very easily see your transcendental form and potency." Non-devotees try to understand the Supreme Brahman by discussions of neti, nisheda, nirvana, sukhanubhuti. A devotee, however, simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, avoids such laborious speculations and realizes the existence of the Lord very easily. Text 29. Anything expressed by material vibrations, anything ascertained by material intelligence, and anything experienced by the material senses or concocted within the material mind is but an effect of the modes of material nature. and therefore has nothing to do with the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is beyond the creation of this material world, for He is the source of the material qualities and creation. As the cause of all causes, He exists before the creation and after the creation. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto Him. Purport. One who manufactures names, forms, qualities, or paraphernalia pertaining to the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot understand Him, since He is beyond creation. The Supreme Lord is the creator of everything, and this means that He existed when there was no creation. In other words, His name, form, and qualities are not materially created entities. They are transcendental, always. Therefore, by our material concoctions, vibrations, and thoughts, we cannot ascertain the Supreme Lord. This is explained in the verse Natak Sri Krishna Namadi Nabhavid Grayam Indriyahi Pracheta Daksha Prachetasa Daksha herein offers prayers under the transcendence, not to anyone within the material creation. Only fools and rascals think God a material creation. This is confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita 9:11. Avajanantimam mudha manushim tanamashritam param bhavamajananto mamabhuta maheshwaram. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that be. Therefore, one must receive knowledge from a person to whom the Lord has revealed Himself. There is no value in creating an imaginary name or form for the Lord. Sripad Shankaracharya was an impersonalist, but nevertheless he said, Narayanat Paro Vyaktat. Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is not a person of the material world. We cannot assign Narayana a material designation, as the foolish attempt to do so when they speak of Daridra Narayan, poor Narayana. Narayana is always transcendental, beyond this material creation. How can he become Daridra Narayana? Poverty is found within this material world, but in the spiritual world there is no such thing as poverty. Therefore the idea of Daridra Narayana is merely a concoction. Daksha very carefully points out that material designations cannot be names of the worshipable Lord. Yad nan niruktam vachasa nirupitam. Nirukta refers to the Vedic dictionary. One cannot properly understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead merely by picking up expressions from a dictionary. In praying to the Lord, Daksha does not wish material names and forms to be the objects of his worship. Rather, he wants to worship the Lord, who existed before the creation of material dictionaries and names. As confirmed in the Vedas, Yato Bacho Nivartante Aprapya Manasa Saha. The name, form, attributes, and paraphernalia of the Lord cannot be ascertained through a material dictionary. However, if one reaches the transcendental platform of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes well acquainted with everything, material and spiritual. This is confirmed in another Vedic mantra, Tam eva vidit bhati mrityum eti. If one can somehow or other, by the grace of the Lord, understand the transcendental position of the Lord, one becomes eternal. This is further confirmed by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita 4:9. Janma karma jame divyam evam yo viditat pataha tyaktva deham punar janma naitimam eti sorjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode O Arjuna. Simply by understanding the Supreme Lord, one goes beyond birth, death, old age, and disease. Srila Shukadev Goswami therefore advises Maharaj Parikshit in Srimad-Bhagavatam 2.1.5, Tasmat Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi Shrotavya Kirtitavyascha Smartavyas Chitata Bayam. O descendant of King Bharat, one who desires to be free from all miseries must hear, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the Supersoul, the controller, and the savior from all miseries. What a purport. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 30. The Supreme Brahman, Krishna, is the ultimate resting place and source of everything. Everything is done by Him, everything belongs to Him, and everything is offered to Him. He is the ultimate objective, and whether acting or causing others to act, He is the ultimate doer. There are many causes, high and low, but since He is the cause of all causes, He is well known as the Supreme Brahman, who existed before all activities. He is one without a second, and has no other cause. I therefore offer my respects unto Him. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original cause, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavak. Even this material world, which is conducted under the modes of material nature, is caused by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who therefore also has an intimate relationship with the material world. If the material world were not a part of His body, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Cause, would be incomplete. Therefore we hear Vasudevak Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabhaha. If one knows that Vasudeva is the original cause of all causes, he becomes a perfect Mahatma. The Brahma Samhita declares, Ishvarak Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for He is the prime cause of all causes. The Supreme Brahman, Tad Brahma, is the cause of all causes, but He has no cause. Anadir, Adir, Govinda, Sarva Karana, Karanam. Govinda, Krishna, is the original cause of all causes, but He has no cause, for His appearance as Govinda. Govinda expands in multifarious forms, but nevertheless they are one. As confirmed by Madhvacharya, Ananyak Shadrisha Bhavad Eko Rupadyade Ate Dadaha Abedadaha. Krishna has no cause, nor any equal, and He is one because His various forms as Swangsha and Vibhinangsha are non-different from Himself. Text 31. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the all-pervading, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who possesses unlimited transcendental qualities. Acting from within the cores of the hearts of all philosophers who propagate various views, He causes them to forget their own souls, while sometimes agreeing and sometimes disagreeing among themselves. Thus He creates within this material world a situation in which they are unable to come to a conclusion. I offer my obeisances unto Him. Purport. Since time immemorial, or since the creation of the cosmic manifestations, The conditioned souls have formed various parties of philosophical speculation, but this is not true of the devotees. Non-devotees have different ideas of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and therefore they are called vadis and prativadis, proponents and counter-proponents. It is understood from the statement of Mahabharata that there are many munis or speculators. Tarko pratishtak shutayo bibina nasau rishir yasimatam nabinam. All speculators must disagree with other speculators. Otherwise, why should there be so many? Why should there be so many opposing parties concerned with ascertaining the supreme cause? Philosophy means finding the ultimate cause. Philosophy means finding the ultimate what?
Cause.
Just checking. As Vedanta Sutra very reasonably says, Atato Brahma Jigyasa, human life is meant for understanding the ultimate cause. Devotees accept that the ultimate cause is Krishna because this conclusion is supported by all Vedic literature and also by Krishna himself, who says, Aham sarvasya prabhavat, I am the source of everything. Devotees have no problem understanding the ultimate cause of everything. But non-devotees must face many opposing elements because everyone who wants to be a prominent philosopher invents his own way. In India, there are many parties of philosophers, such as Dvaitavadis, Advaitavadis, Vaisheshikas, Mimamshakas, Mayavadis, and Swabhavavadis. And each of them opposes the others. Similarly, in the Western countries, there are also many philosophers with different views of creation, life maintenance, and annihilation. Thus, it is undoubtedly a fact that there are countless philosophers throughout the world, each of them contradicting the others. Now, one may ask, why there are so many philosophers if the ultimate goal of philosophy is one? Undoubtedly, the ultimate cause is one, the Supreme Brahman. As Arjuna told Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 10:12, Padam Brahma Padam Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shasatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. You are the Supreme Brahman, the ultimate, the supreme abode and purifier, the ultimate truth and the eternal divine person. You are the primeval God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn and all-pervading beauty. Non-devotee speculators, however, do not accept an ultimate cause, sarva karanam, because they are ignorant and bewildered concerning the soul and its activities. Even though some of them have a vague idea of the soul, many controversies arise, and the philosophical speculators can never reach a conclusion. All of these speculators are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 16, 19, and 20, Tamahang dvishita kruran sangsareshu naradaman chipam yajashram ashubhan asuri shrefa jonishu asurim yonam apana mudha janmani mam aprapyai vakonteya tato yantadamam gatim. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth among the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. Gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Because of their envy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Non-devotees are born in demoniac families, life after life. They are great offenders, and because of their offenses, the Supreme Lord keeps them always bewildered. Kurvanti chaisham muhur atma moham. The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, purposely keeps them in darkness, atma moham. The great authority, Parashara, the father of Vyasadeva, explains the Supreme Personality of Godhead thus: Jnana Shakti Balaishvarya Birya Tejang Shasheshataha Bhagavat Chabdabhajami Vina Heyaya Gunadibihi. The demoniac speculators cannot understand the transcendental qualities, form, pastimes, strength, knowledge, and opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which are all free from material contamination. Bina Heyaya Gunadibi. These speculators are envious of the existence of the Lord. Jagat Ahur Anishwaram. But it is just their conclusion is that the entire cosmic manifestation has no controller, but is just working naturally. Thus they are kept in constant darkness, birth after birth, and cannot understand the real cause of all causes. This is the reason why there are so many schools of philosophical speculation. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You start to get the understanding how of what Srila Prabhupada said when he said, if you actually assimilate the Bhagavatam, you'll have the equivalent of 5 PhDs. Philosophy, you'd be a great philosopher. Okay, we'll stop here for this evening for the reading and turn to our reflection time. Anything that stuck out in your mind that you heard while we were reading that you want to reflect upon, share with us, or discuss further, or inquire about, please be my guest. Hare Krishna. Yes, Bhagavan.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So in one of the purports, Prabhupada quoted the verse Ata Shri Krishna Namari, and he said that chanting Hare Krishna and tasting Krishna Prasadam and the spirit of service, the Supreme Personality Godhead is revealed. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about what it means to do those things in the spirit of service.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Thank you very much for that. Well, what do you think? What does it mean to do something in service, or opposite of service?
Opposite of service would be to do it for your own pleasure.
Yes, for your own enjoyment. That's just the difference between the service attitude and the spirit of enjoyment. But the thing is, the material mind makes us think that, hey, if I'm not going to enjoy this in the spirit of enjoyment, then how am I going to enjoy? What's in it for me? That's the materialistic attitude. It's business, doing business, commerce with Krishna. I'll do this, but what's in it for me? If you do something for me, then I'll do it. If there's nothing in it for me, then I won't do it. That's the business attitude. But the service attitude is to give back to Krishna what belongs to him without the desire for getting any fruit in return. But the magical thing is that when you actually do that, then from inside the heart, because Krishna becomes pleased, he gives you real satisfaction. And if you reach the conclusion of devotional service, he will share with you his satisfaction, which means satisfaction that is greater than you can imagine. And in the higher Bhakti Shastras, it's described that the pleasure that the devotee feels while serving the Lord directly, face to face, is greater than the Lord feels. That's the difference between the service attitude and serving for the pleasure of your own senses.
So is it, I'm just thinking about how do I do that? Is it just having that intention that
Well,
I'm
first
doing
practice.
this?
Like anything, you have to practice at becoming expert at anything. You can't expect to have that immediately. I mean, Krishna can give you to immediately if you're completely eager enough, I mean, anything we do in this world which is like requires, some special energy or special expertise to get some position, a gold medal in the Olympics, or become a star at some musical concert, or president of a country, or whatever it is. It requires some intense endeavor and expertise. So in devotional service, we can hear, and in the beginning, you can understand. Before you can engage in devotional service, you can't understand. And when you start to associate with devotees who understand and hear like we're hearing, then gradually, by trying to understand, by practicing to understand, you do understand something. And then that encourages you to practice. And then we practice being good, even if we're not. We practice acting like Krishna wants us to act. And gradually, by that practice, we begin to understand, oh yeah, I should act like that. I should act like that. That would be better if I could act like that. I mean, even in human society, they laud different qualities. Like, I just read in one news article that there's one young teenage boy who to protect his teacher, took a bullet. Somebody was going to shoot the teacher, took a bullet, or maybe it was a friend. Anyway, someone, and he took it to friend, and he died immediately. And now he's lauded as a saintly person, as a great person, because of that ultimate sacrifice he gave to help another person, to save another person. So people, even in human society, even in such horrible days that we're living in now, where these kinds of things are happening on a daily basis. When I was growing up in the 50s, I'm 73 now, almost 73, and when I was growing up in the 50s, you didn't hear about these things. Once in 5, 6, 10 years would you hear about somebody shooting someone in a campus or something. But now you hear students shooting other students in the school, and even people who are completely ignorant are beginning to realize, oh, that's not right. Something's wrong. So that's it. We have to first realize, hey, there's something wrong with this. This isn't normal. That students would shoot other students. That's not normal. There's something desperately wrong. So until a human being realizes that there's something wrong, that they're always suffering when they don't want to suffer, when they're getting old, even they don't want to get old. I can't jump anymore. Oh, darn it. I used to like jumping and playing and doing all these things. That's the beginning of human life. And then from that inquiry, from that beginning inquiry, Brahma Jigyasya, Tatato Brahma Jigyasya, that's the beginning of Veda, that's the beginning of knowledge. And as long as we're thinking, ingrained in those last purports was the understanding that the philosophers, they're thinking they know something. They're thinking they're great. They're thinking they're special. They're thinking they got the message for other people. And because of that pride, Krishna cuts them off from any knowledge, and they live in darkness. and eventually they'll live in darkness of the tree. So these are the laws of nature that God gives us out of His mercy to fulfill our desires, or our own desires. So as long as we have that spirit of enjoyment and we are trying to exhibit that spirit of enjoyment in different ways, nowadays nudie beaches are becoming popular. And I don't know how popular they are, but they're there. And some people get off on it, I saw another article that said now they have restaurants in Paris where you can go in completely naked and have a meal with other naked people. And they're thinking this is like... And Prabhupada said, oh, okay, you like to be naked? Here, take a body of a tree. And if you're really, really intense desire, you can take the body of a redwood tree in California. For 7,000 years, you can stand there naked, in the wind and the snow, and people come and cut your limbs off. They'll make a big hole in you so they can drive their car through it and take a picture next to it and say, oh, look, we were next to a redwood tree that's so big you can put your car through it. Aren't we great? That's the difference. So here we just read that the Prajetas came out and they started burning the trees because they had been doing austerities for a long time. They came out and they were supposed to be the king, that one of them was going to be the king, because the king went to the forest. Narada Muni preached to him, and he gave up his sinful activities, went to the forest and became a great soul. And so the earth didn't have a king for a while, so it didn't have a leader. So all the trees, they weren't taken, anyway. We heard that a few chapters ago.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Dare. Dare is going to dare to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Haribol.
Hi, good day. Thank you for taking my question.
Good day, Dare. Nice to see you here.
Likewise, sir. This is a question that's always baffled me completely, tremendously. And, it relates to this school of thought, but we didn't expound on it today. But I know it's about the issue of reincarnation. For some reason, I've always felt the distinction between my body and my spirit, my soul. And I just have so many questions about this, about knowing that this isn't me, that I'm someone else, or that I'm someone, just feeling my own vibration and my own energy, and trying to discover who I am and why I'm on this incarnation as me right now, and what lessons I'm here to learn. So I was trying to see what you think as far as society and the world classifying us based on countries and nationalities, and just your belief on that. Thank you, sir. That's my question.
Hare Krishna. Dare, they gave you that reason for that name for a good reason.
Yes, sir.
A beautiful question.
The names put me in a lot of trouble too.
Well, there you go. The body, the material body, is actually a disease of the soul. The soul is never diseased. The soul is pure, always. But when the soul comes from the spiritual world to the material world, his original form becomes atomized, and it becomes a spiritual atom. And that atom enters into the semen of a male living being, whether it be a man or animal, whatever, or pollen, and in that way enters the womb of a mother and gets a body. And that spirit soul is emanating a consciousness. And that original consciousness is love for God. The source, our source. And that consciousness, that consciousness is emanating from the soul, illuminates the body with knowledge, with perception of pain and pleasure within the body, no matter where it is. We don't know everything about it, but we know something. We know more than another soul does who's in another body. So that original love for God that is the consciousness, is the original consciousness of the soul, the original identity of the soul, a lover of God, a servant of God. When it enters the material body, then when that consciousness filters through the body that you've achieved, then that original affection is distorted, and you begin to get attached, beginning with your parents and your brothers and sisters and family, original direct, and then your friends, and then your schoolmates, and then your countrymen, and then if you get a little advanced, as your consciousness expands, you know, a society of the world, a citizen of the world, a citizen of the universe. The consciousness expands as we become more mature, as we become more experienced. But all of those identities are illusory. And that's why you're wondering, that's why you're perceiving. It's actually a great fortune to be able to perceive that you're different than the body without having, you know, heard and cultivated that knowledge, just instinctively. That's a great fortune.
Thank you, sir.
There's one very nice verse in the second canto of the book we're reading, which describes how a person can understand that he's not the body just by contemplating it. You know, you can. There's one big philosopher that was talking about philosophers in here. There's one big philosopher named Kant, and he decided that he was going to just negate all philosophies and start from scratch. And he composed or kind of speculated a philosophy that was so intricate that he had hardly anyone could understand it. So he taught it, and he became really a big guy. They still study his philosophy. So later on, when he was getting older, because this is the nature of the body, you may think you're this, you may think you're that, but when you get old, you start to forget things. So these, you know, his philosophy became very prominent, and it was studied in universities, and as long as he was alive, these students would come to him and ask him to explain it, because it was so complex, they couldn't understand it. And after a while, he became a little senile. You know I'm 73, sometimes I can't remember a person's name, or, you know, I walk into a room, what was I going to do? What was it I came in here for? Right? It's a time. Time does this to everybody. So then at the end, he had to say, I'm sorry, I forgot. So philosophers are making up their own philosophies so they can become greater philosophers than the philosophers before them. And what they do is they just build, you know, conceptions on conceptions on conceptions, and rather than becoming closer to the truth, they're becoming farther and farther away from the truth by their own mental constructs, by their own mental buildings that they build, you know, intellectual gymnastics. You know, I got a better idea. Mine says. So Arjuna asked Krishna this. He said, how does a person who's self-realized think, talk, walk, speak? And then Krishna said, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan Atmanyeva manatushta stita pragyastalochase. He said, so if the person who's self-realized gives up material desires that are born of mental concoction, the soul, I'm trying to answer your question.
Yes.
The soul is spiritual. There's a spiritual body inside. The material energy is separated energy from God. Just like now we're speaking into this microphone and it's being recorded on that phone, and then in the ether, in the wherever that goes, digital space, the cyberspace, you know. And if I leave the room and you turn it on and play it back, it'll sound just like me. But it's not me. It's separated from me. It's my energy separated from me. It couldn't be unless I had spoken into it. It couldn't be. My separated energy. So everything that you see, everything that you taste, everything you smell, everything you can touch is all separated energy of God. It couldn't be unless it was reflected into this material world by His own will, by His own energy. So the soul, by Krishna's arrangement, is covered by the gross body, which are the gross separated elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the subtle body. We have a subtle body. That's the body you dream in, right? That's made of mind and intelligence and false ego, or the misconception that we are the body. There's a subtle, the most subtle material energy is called false ego. And that, when the soul contacts that energy, then that energy deludes him into thinking he is matter. And then when the body is constructed around the soul, then the soul thinks, I am the body. So that subtle body that you dream in, when you leave the body at death, it carries you into the next body according to your mental state, according to your mental condition. That's transmigration. Transformation of the soul. The soul changes from one body to another based on the thought that you have at the time of death. And if you can come to the state of consciousness when you leave your body that you're thinking of Krishna, that you're thinking of God in love, then you will immediately transfer to the spiritual world, and the gross body and the subtle body will fall away forever. But as long as you're in the material world and you're moving from one gross body to another, the subtle body records everything, just like in the digital system. It's recorded and it's going to be archived somewhere, and you can, watch this 100 days from now if you want to. So the mind is like that. The mind is containing all the memories of all the different lifetimes that we've been in this material world. And each time we get a new body, that memory is pushed back into our subconscious, so we only remember this birth. And in this way we're deluded by the material energy. So we may think, oh, God's not very kind. No, He's very kind, because this is what we wanted. So until we come to that stage of actually accepting responsibility, ourselves, personal responsibility, we will always be trying to blame someone else. And ultimately, when we become a philosopher, then you blame God. And the most deluded philosophers, they try to prove that God doesn't exist, or that they're God, and we're all God. But if you ask them, if you're the supreme person, if you're the supreme being, are you making the sun come up? Of course, some of them will say yes. In that way, they reveal that they're actually asses. They're not philosophers. their philosophy is like the braying of asses. You ever heard of ass go really get into it? Oh. One time in Govardhan, there was a herd of them. They came in the plot next to us, and they all started at the same time. My God, it was the most obnoxious thing you ever heard in your life, you know. And yet they're just they're thinking they're doing something very wonderful, you know. The frogs, they croak, and then what happens in dark night? They're croaking, and the snake's going and listening, and he follows it, the sound, and there's something in here. Two questions in cyberspace. Is that something?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
If you want to stop going from body to body, you come here, live with us, we'll take care of you and teach you, and then you can teach others and go back to Godhead. Problem finished.
I also have attachments to my past life, so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we can teach you how to give those up too.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Anytime. Okay, from cyberspace.
All right, and they're both from Rati Manjari.
Hey Rati, Hare Krishna.
Her first question: Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Tonight we heard the famous prayer of Lord Chaitanya in which he prays to Krishna, please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. I was wondering, what does that mean exactly, to be an atom at Krishna's lotus feet?
It is a poetic expression, meaning I'm very tiny, and I don't even know how many souls there are. There are unlimited numbers of souls. So I want to be one of those souls in the spiritual world who is serving you. And we say, Lord Chaitanya says, atoms, a particle of atom on the dust of your lotus feet, meaning that it's an expression of humility, but not just humility, an expression of utter humility, where we acknowledge the greatness of Krishna, or the unlimited mercy and beauty and wonder and friendship of Krishna from a position of humility, of utter humility. And because Krishna appreciates that mentality or that consciousness so much, then he brings us into his personal association, and we can play with him face to face, just like you play with your friends. You can play with Krishna. But the mentality to get there is, please make me a particle of dust at your lotus feet. It means your most insignificant servant. And when Krishna sees that you're sincere and you really want to be with him in the spiritual world, then he reveals himself to you and then takes you to the spiritual world, and so that we can eat with him and play with him and enjoy with him.
She gave you heart emojis. Okay. Her second question, and I have another question. You just said that the soul that comes to the material world is atomized. How does this relate to Krishna saying in the Gita that the soul cannot be changed or cut, etc.?
It isn't changed, it isn't cut. It's still fully there.
More hearts.
Huh?
More hearts.
I mean, think about it. The material elements are inert. Is there any argument? Are the material elements conscious? the elements of the body are not conscious. Without consciousness, when the soul leaves the body is dead. So in reality, the eye, if you take the eye out of the body and look around, you won't, see anything. Take the finger and drop it on the ground, it has no meaning, no value whatsoever. But when it's the finger's on the body, when it's a part of the body, it's very valuable. And if there's some pain in it, you'll spend money to fix it. Any part of your body, you'll spend money to fix it. Even maybe a toenail, the little toe can give you a lot of trouble, You get a hangnail, and you'll limp around. You have to do something to fix it, You'll put your energy into fixing it, even though it's insignificant. So we're actually a part of Krishna. And it's the soul that sees. In order for the soul to see, it has to have eyes. So that we can see and we can hear and we can taste and smell because we have those senses spiritually beyond the elements, the material elements and the subtle elements, gross unconscious elements. It requires that you think about it, like you were saying, by thinking about it, you can understand that you're different than the body. If you just still and just, realize that I'm here, I'm conscious, I'm here. I'm different than the body. I'm thinking of the body is my body, I'm doing all these things, but I'm different, I know what it's doing. But in the material nature, when we're not thinking like that, the material nature does everything.
She has a follow-up question. How can the material elements be unconscious if Krishna is present in every atom of the universe?
Because there's no vent. The consciousness comes through the senses, and Adam doesn't have any senses. So the consciousness doesn't come through the senses, the atom. Yes, Pranita.
I was just wondering, in that connection, could you say that there's consciousness in the element, but the element isn't conscious?
Yes.
Krishna's consciousness is in it, but it's not.
And like when we're the soul prominent in the body, there are also souls, all other kind of souls in the body. There's germs and worms and all kinds of microbes and things that also are souls. But they're not prominent. They're not the prominent soul in the body. It's the prominent soul in the body that's been given this body to be conscious of the body. And there's other little souls. When the body dies, all kinds of living entities comes out of it. Did you know that? When the body dies, all kinds of living entities come out of it. So Prabhupada challenges the scientists. So the necessities of life are there in the body. Otherwise, all these other living entities are coming out. But the soul is dead. But the body is dead. But it's not a chemical difference. What's the difference? It's because the soul that's prominent in the body, that's been given that body to be conscious of and used as a vehicle for doing what they want to do in the material world, is gone. That's the difference between the dead body and the live body. It's not because, the heart stopped, or because there's some chemical, reaction or some chemical missing. There's something missing, but they can't see what it is. Therefore, they can't understand the difference between life and death. And therefore, they keep trying to cure this disease, and when they do that, then another disease develops, and it's more serious than the one before it, and And it goes on, and they build more hospitals and more scientific methods to, and it just goes on and on and on until finally, Anantadev, it's an expansion of Krishna to the bottom of the universe, said, come on, he's giving you so many chances, enough. And then he gets angry and he poof, the whole universe burns up. Then we have to start all over again. That's a long story. You have to stick around and read these books. You want to find out, you can find out everything in this Bhagavatam. It's all there. It just gradually expands the consciousness. You just hear this book again and again. It will expand your consciousness until you can see all these things yourself, for yourself. You don't have to have somebody give you a certificate or, diploma. Pratyaksha-vagamam dharmyam. It's the perfection of religion because it gives direct perception of the self by realization. If you keep hearing this submissively and trying to understand it, then gradually your consciousness is expanded until you can understand it and explain it to others. And then Krishna becomes really happy with you when you do that. You learn to do that. Become a teacher. Okay, wow. My, how time flies when you're having a good time. Okay, gotta go now. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai. The Hamsa-guhya Prayers ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Is Saturday, so we'll see you at 4:30 Central Time, USA, right here, same place, same time, same station. Hare Krishna.